Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Allie.
We've got NWSL, Champions League, and WSL. We are back in full domestic form, domestic bliss, as they say. All right, we've got a lot on the docket today that I just mentioned. NWSL, Champions League, and WSL. We get them all, so let's get into it.
To the NWSL, and it was an action-packed week this week, and I will hold my hands up. It turns out it's not as predictable as I thought it was.
Okay, so for those of you who didn't listen to last week's episode, Allie and I made a bet. The second part, Allie, I think you still need to fulfill, which is you were going to predict the end standings of the NWSL, but you were also going to predict all of the outcomes for this past weekend. And our deal was that if you got 5 out of 7, at least 5 out of 7 correct, we could call the NWSL predictable. Well, my dearest Allie,
I got some right. I will say I got some right.
Let's go. You did get some right. Let's go through these. But it was funny because already by the end of Friday, you were down to, you'd gotten 2 wrong. So I was like, oof, this is tough. This is getting tough. Let's go through these really quickly. Utah, Chicago, you had that as a draw. Close but no cigar. Utah won 1-0. The Cascadia Rivalry, you had Seattle beating Portland. Correct. 1 win, 1 loss for Allie on this so far. Angel City against Gotham, you had Angel City winning. Incorrect. Tally another loss. You're 1-2 now. Racing against San Diego, you had San Diego winning. That is correct. 2-2 now. Good job so far, Allie. Orlando against Washington. You had Orlando winning. I don't think anybody blames you for that. Washington beat Orlando to hand Orlando their first loss of the season, which we will talk about today.
With the stupidest goal ever.
Was it stupid or was it a great goal?
It was a stupid goal to concede. You can call it a great goal to score. It was a stupid goal to concede.
It was an unfortunate goal to concede, I'll call it. Like, that's the last type of goal you want to concede, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, you got that one wrong. I think we're at 2 wins, 3 losses on that one. North Carolina Bay, you called it a draw. Understandably so. Bay won that one 1-0. So 2 wins, 4 losses now. And finally, KC Current against Houston. You have KC winning that one. They took down Houston 2-0. So you're correct on that. So you have 3 right, 4 wrong.
I'll take that.
I mean, it's good in terms of predictions, but it certainly means that the NWSL is not predictable. That was a fun game to play, though, Allie.
Yes, we should do that again. I'll tell you what we should do is we'll get you to do it for the WSL.
That's a really good idea. Okay, what about second to last weekend?
Okay, second to last weekend. So Sarah will tick the games that go on the weekend of the 3rd and the 4th of May, and we'll see which league is more predictable, the WSL or the NWSL.
Done. More predictable to us two.
Yes. True facts.
True. Okay. Deal and done. Anyways, that was fun, but let's get into NWSL play from this past weekend because it was fun. It was so fun, and our game of the week has to go to the Cascadia Rivalry. Seattle hosted Portland, the longest, most storied rivalry in the NWSL short history.
Can I ask a dumb question? Why is it the Cascadia Rivalry?
I knew you were going to ask that. Can I just say, when I was writing the Cascadia Rivalry, I was literally thinking to myself, Allie is probably going to ask why it's called this Cascadia Rivalry.
Yes, I am.
It's a good question. I did have to Google this a few years ago, and I believe the answer is that the region itself is called the Cascadia region, which is the region that encompasses Washington, Oregon, and British Columbia. So while British Columbia isn't represented in this rivalry, Washington and Oregon are represented in this rivalry.
There we go. See, the more you know.
Cascadia Rivalry. Let's dig into it. This is the game of the week. Seattle took down Portland 1-0. Seattle hosted, so they won at home. This was one of the better Cascadia rivalries we've seen in a while, Allie. This was a fun game.
Yeah, I'll agree with that because let's be honest, and Portland fans, Seattle fans, don't come at me. You guys have fallen out of form for a very long time. So these games have not been great matchups.
Not for too long. I mean, Seattle was in the final that was hosted in San Diego in 2023.
That is true, but then that doesn't count for when they play each other. All right, okay, I'll clarify my statement. You guys have fallen out of form when you play each other because, you know, we talk about it, about derbies and like how much extra pressure that adds. And the last couple have been a bit womp womp. Like, they haven't been great. This, however, was fantastic.
Absolutely. It was a really fun game. I was on FaceTime with one of my friends who was visiting my other friend. And apparently my friend answered the door and just like flung the door open to her house and was like, "Hi, welcome. There's a great game on. Come upstairs right now." And just like sprinted back upstairs to the game.
That's hilarious.
Which was a really great story. And I think that's a great picture because it started off with a bang, with a goal in the 4th minute, and it just stayed kind of at this high level the entire time. And to give both teams due credit, both of these teams are looking so much better than they did in their first game of the season, and for different reasons, but they've both grown exceptionally already in the early parts of this season.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Seattle, as we mentioned, beat Portland 1-0, and they scored within the 4th minute with a beauty of a goal by Maddie Darlene. Let's talk about it. What is it about? Because Seattle have this firepower up front, and we saw it so quickly.
Maddie Darlene had a great game, but the person who had, I think, arguably a better game, Lynn Biandolo, got her first start with the Seattle Reign, and it is so fun because I feel like sometimes Lynn doesn't get the credit she deserves for being a game changer. She gets the credit she deserves sometimes for being a goal scorer because you can look at a stat sheet and you can't argue with the fact that she can tuck goals away, but I don't think she necessarily always gets the credit that she deserves for being a game changer. We've said it in 2023 when she was actually what the U.S. needed in that World Cup, and I think you saw it here in so many ways. That goal was created by Lynn Biandolo. She got the ball in the center forward position. She came back to get it. She had great hold-up play, kept the ball at her feet, turned, played the ball through to Darlene, who then obviously deserves credit for the finish there. But that goal was created by Lynn Biandolo, and the explosiveness that she adds to this lineup, the threat that she adds in behind, it completely changed the dynamic of the Seattle Reign team. They are so much more explosive, and they looked great.
Let's talk about Portland, because as I've mentioned, they've been a bit off the last couple of seasons. There's been something missing. And whilst they were much better, I thought they were much better defensively. They were much tighter defensively, which has been a huge problem for them the last couple of seasons. They never really looked like they were going to score. They don't have that person. You know, you look at like Gotham, they've got players that you're like, they'll score.
Right. Esther Gonzalez, Midge Purse, so on and so forth.
Portland's player was Sophia Wilson, who is now very happily expectant of child. Morgan Weaver is out for how long, we do not know. Those are their two main, if only, goal scorers. Where are their goal scorers coming from? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I feel like we can say Portland looks so much better, much more cohesive than they did at the beginning of the season. They're moving the ball a lot better, but you can move the ball all you want. If you can't create a dangerous opportunity, it doesn't totally matter how well you're moving the ball through your midfield. And we said this after the first week, Allie. Portland have a great midfield. It doesn't really matter if you can't add the upfront element to it. And they still just don't know where their goals are coming from. The shots on goal at halftime were even. And then the end result, the statistics were Seattle had 5 shots on goal and Portland had 4, but that just does not tell the story of how kind of the differences in how explosive and how many actual opportunities created these two teams had. I wish I'd pulled up the XGs because I'm guessing Seattle's expected goals was probably 2 or maybe even 3. And I would doubt Portland's would be even at 1 based on their like true opportunities that they created. It's exactly what you said. This is a team that was built on with the understanding that they would have Sophia Wilson and Morgan Weaver up top. And truly, if those two were up top for Portland right now, I think they'd be pretty high up the table because that's the only missing piece for this Portland team. Their midfield's fantastic. They control the run of play. They move the ball really fluidly and beautifully throughout the field, but there's nobody to finish it. And that was exactly what happened. Seattle put a goal away, and there was just nothing that Portland could show for it. However, it just needs to be said, this game was way more back and forth, kind of like high energy than I think you could ever tell from a piece of paper or stats or anything like that. Like, there were moments where I was just like pumped. We saw a yellow card and I was like, yes, like this is the rivalry. It really had the feeling to it. It was a fun game. Truly, truly fun. But I think Seattle deservedly got that win.
The next games at Portland have Gotham and Seattle face Bay next week. Very different games for both of them, I feel, because Gotham, as we saw, are scoring on all cylinders at the moment with their up front. And if Portland can't get that cinch to get that goal, and then whatever the hell's going on with Bay, that's a conversation for another pod.
So up and down. For another pod, for sure.
For another pod, another episode, not today. But there is many a conversation to have. So it'll be interesting to see how those two teams fare against those two teams. But we have to talk about, and I called it stupid earlier. You said it was a gorgeous goal. So let's talk about it, which is Orlando suffered their first defeat of the season against title rivals Washington Spirit. Firstly, for the Spirit, Rodman is out indefinitely with back issues.
I'm so sad for her. She's been dealing with back problems for so long now. Just constant. And anybody who's ever had back problems, it is one of the biggest pains, like physically and mentally, because you can never like hit a position where you don't feel your back. That just doesn't exist. And I doubt we're going to see her return until she is 100% certain she's gotten this under control, because it just keeps flaring up. But yeah, I feel so bad for her, and I feel bad for Washington. They suffered so many injuries last season. They finally were getting everybody back and healthy, and then once again. But hey, Washington Spirit made a statement with this game, because we have been saying, I don't know if other people are saying this, but you and I were saying, Allie, it feels like it's Orlando and KC at the top, and Washington just really trying to keep up, kind of chugging right behind, but not quite with them. And this made a statement. They were like, no, we are not chasing. We are there. We are literally in this race. It is a 3-team race for that number 1 spot right now, if we have anything to say about it. Huge result.
It was a huge result. And let's just talk about the goal. Basically, it came off a goal kick from Anna Morehouse that got intercepted really close. This is why I say it was stupid, because it looked like...
Well, it was a goal kick that then got passed back to her, and she looked very uncomfortable under pressure with the ball at her feet, right? And basically her pocket was like picked.
Yeah, picked by a Nigerian international in her second NWSL match ever, with the best name, Gift Monday, and what a gift this goal was. This is why I say playing out from the back is stupid. I don't like it, and this is the reason why.
How many times are we going to have this conversation, Allie?
Because you have still yet, and nobody yet, and I asked my own coach, has given me a valid reason why you should play out from the back.
I'll tell you right now, statistically, so let's picture 2 different goal kicks, right? Let's picture one goal kick where, let's call it a normal goal kick, where the goalkeeper just sends it all the way up, ball's in the air, hits around midfield, and possession basically goes to, you're basically putting a 50-50 ball in the air, right? So let's call that your 50-50 shot that you're going to get possession. Yeah, you can target a player, but like that's a 50-50 ball, okay? Yeah. I can be generous even and say it's a 60-40 ball in favor of the team who has possession initially. Fine. The second scenario is a goal kick where the goalkeeper plays it to her defender. That is like 100% of the time, I guess not 100, but like 99.9% of the time, you will play it to your defender and you will maintain possession. The goal is to maintain possession. And I really do understand when teams are like, why am I going to we just got the ball back and I'm just going to throw a 50-50 ball up there? No, let's get possession. Let's work it around. Let's literally play the game of soccer, move the ball around, shift the defense around, and find the pockets. That's how I see it.
In theory. I would love to get the stats to know how many goals have been got from a striker taking a chance and marauding a defender.
Yeah.
When they do that. Because that's what it feels like to me.
It's still not going to be like 50-50. You know, it's still not going to be that high of a percentage of the time.
As a fan, I say, if in doubt, boot it out and punt it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Where this kind of thing goes wrong is where teams are trying to play out of the back under pressure that they should not be playing out of the back under.
That's my...
That's when that applies.
I think that's what my problem is because it's so ingrained in teams now that you must play out from the back. They do it without reading the situation. Like that situation, that defender should have just booted it out and dealt with the...
Yeah, well, that's been my issue with City, you know. Like, they're just like, we will play out of the back even if you throw all of your defenders up here.
Exactly. So it's just like, at that point, you should have just booted it out and dealt with the resulting throw-in. You didn't, and then you lost.
I agree with that. I think we're on the same page where we're like, most of the time, play it out of the back, but let's read situationally. And for all we know, this could have been a misread. Like, for all we know, the defender, I can't remember who it was who was on the ball, who played it back to Anna Morehouse, might not have seen Gift Monday coming on to Anna Morehouse. She literally might have played the ball back to Morehouse thinking that Morehouse had a ton of time. Like, we don't know, but... yeah, not the way you want to concede a goal.
No, but what a way to mark your second NWSL game ever. Like, there was big talks of her coming over when Washington signed her. And what a goal and what a start for her career in the NWSL.
So that 1-0 defeat is the first shutout that Orlando have suffered as an offense since last season, when we all will remember, Portland Thorns, of all teams, were the ones that broke the undefeated streak for Orlando when Portland won 2-0 at Portland. And now we just need to give credit where credit is due to this Washington Spirit defense because, hey, goals are great. Defenses do win championships. But wow. Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world. To the Netherlands. Twente have well and truly stomped on Ajax's title hopes with a thrilling 5-0 win. It was an identical scoreline for the second place PSV to cling to their Champions League spot.
To Italy, and Juve are 10 points clear at the top of the table after their win over Milan. Second place Inter Milan beat Roma to solidify their Champions League hopes for next season.
And to Spain, Real Madrid are keeping up the pressure on Barcelona with their win this weekend. Third place Atletico Madrid also won to try and tighten up their grip on the final Champions League spot, whereas fourth place Athletic Club could only manage a draw.
And to Scotland, Hibs have reclaimed top spot back after their win over title rivals Rangers. Glasgow City could only manage a 0-0 draw against Hearts, whereas Celtic got a vital win over Motherwell. Now, to probably the biggest games that happened this weekend. It was the first leg of the Champions League semi-final. And we have two English teams in there and both got hammered.
Ooh. It was a rough day for the English teams. That is, but days, plural, I guess. The first one on Saturday was at 4:30 a.m. my time, which I find deeply inconsiderate.
To be fair, that's only 12 o'clock our time, and that was inconsiderate for us too.
Yeah. Arsenal lost to Lyon at the Emirates 2-1, and Barcelona demolished Chelsea 4-1 in Barcelona. So now Arsenal are headed away to Lyon, but they're only down by 1 goal. Chelsea are headed home, but they are down by 3 goals. I would definitely rather be Arsenal in this situation.
For sure. For sure. And it did feel like for the moment that, and we'll get onto the Chelsea thing, but the Arsenal game, it was cagey. Lyon went up first, and it was kind of coming. Like, if you watch the game, Lyon were knocking, and it was just due to unfortunateness rather than Arsenal's gameplay that they were not in front beforehand.
I agree. It was a really even game.
So the Diani goal was in 17 minutes. And then you look at the stats, they were pretty even. They were equal on shots on target. Arsenal actually had more shots and more possession. It's just Lyon had that little something extra.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal had 9 corner kicks, though. You can't say they didn't have their chances. And Arsenal did not score in the run of play. Mariano Caldente scored their singular goal on a penalty kick.
Can we talk about the penalty?
Sure, let's talk about the penalty.
The penalty that should never have been.
There was a penalty in this game that should never have been, and there was a penalty also in the Barcelona-Chelsea game that arguably should never have been.
I always say you can go by players' reactions. If players aren't calling for it, is it really a penalty?
Yeah, that gets dicey if you really want to go with players' reactions. But I get what you're saying.
I mean, like the opposition players, because it was a handball, I believe. Or no, it was an injury to the other one was a handball. This was the they said a goalkeeper, Endler, injured Leah Williamson in a goal-scoring opportunity, and that's why it was a penalty. But if Williamson's not calling for it, Williamson just wanted the game to carry on, I'm like, was it really a penalty? Like, you had to go to VAR. You were at VAR for a very long time in giving this penalty. That's not what VAR's for. If it's not clear and obvious, then you move on. So it was the softest of the soft penalties as far as I was concerned. It wasn't really a penalty, but you know what? Arsenal took it, buried it, and they were level for all of 4 minutes.
Yep. And then Dermarnay scored what ended up being the game winner. So now, I mean, I don't have as much to say about this game. I have a lot more to say about the other game, to be totally honest. I think this game was exactly what we thought it was going to be. It was cagey. It was back and forth. It was good football, but it certainly wasn't open, free flowing football. It was intense. And I think that this second leg is going to be the more interesting of the 2 second legs because it's going to have to be more open if Arsenal want to win.
True facts. Right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it all. The Barcelona-Chelsea game that happened on Sunday. Barcelona demolished Chelsea 4-1.
What a roller coaster ride, though, Allie. Like, they demolished Chelsea, but, like, it didn't totally feel like that until the end.
No, to be fair, it didn't. And I was coming back from London at the time, so I was with it. And my poor friend who was driving, because I was like, ah! And they were like, what? I am driving! Do not make those noises at me when I am driving!
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I was like, oh, sorry, just also got this. But I was like giving a running commentary of what was happening in the game. And they were like, don't do that to me when I'm driving.
Despite you being on the road, though, I feel like you have a very good picture of what happened in this game.
I do, because this is the one that I was interested in, because it could have gone one of 2 ways, because last time Chelsea beat Barcelona away for them at Barcelona's home, and it was like 1-0, and it could have been that, or it could have been this, and it was very much this. It's
funny because I look at the statistics. Payora scored and put Barcelona up in the 35th minute, 1-0. But in my memory, Barcelona went up in like the 10th minute. It really did feel like Barcelona stepped up early, dominated early. The penalty kick happened early, and that's probably why I feel like
that's what you think about it. And that's another penalty that did not need to be a penalty. Like, I will say this as somebody who is a defender. There is very few places our arms can go. And for me, that was a natural position of Bjorn. Like, that's just where your hands go. It didn't really affect play. And yeah, so I think justice was done that, it was a terrible penalty by Pateas. Like, there was no power behind it. There was no precision behind it. And Hannah Hampton made a great save with her feet to get rid. So justice was done for me in that penalty.
Justice was definitely done. I mean, I did understand why they called it. I hate VAR, but in the age of VAR, that is usually called a penalty. Like, when you look at that exact or almost exact play, it's pretty much always called a penalty. So I wasn't surprised when it was. But at the end of the day, listen, Hannah Hampton came up big. It was a bad penalty kick, but you're still locked at 0. And you go into halftime, 1-0, Barcelona up. And then literally all hell broke loose in the second half. I don't know exactly. It's like all muddled into chaos in my mind because it just felt like there was a goal every like 5 minutes. It was absolute insanity. But at the end of the day, so what actually happened was Pina scored 4 minutes later. Baltimore scored. Suddenly it's 2-1. This is what I wanted to say about this. When Chelsea went into halftime 1-0, the most important thing for Chelsea was, I don't care if we score. Do not let them score. It is more important right now that we keep this 1 goal margin than try to chase a draw. And I'm not going to go out and say like they did the exact opposite, because I genuinely believe they were like really trying to keep that 1 goal margin. But their defense collapsed. Barcelona picked them apart to a T. And when Barcelona went up 2-0, they were able to get a goal back to keep it at a 1 goal margin. And that's when I think Barcelona made probably the biggest statement they've made of this year, because they just put the kibosh on it and they scored 2 more goals and they were just like, no.
Can we talk about game management though? Can we talk about game management? Because I do feel like some has come, that Sonia Bompasta has to take some liability for this, because I get Bjorn was injured. I know she was injured. Could she not have carried on for another minute until that corner was played? Because the third goal, which really killed Chelsea off,
that was not the substitution's fault, though. I'm going to stand up.
No, but you shouldn't make a sub then.
I agree.
It ruins the flow of play. Bjorn should have just stayed on for another minute. The ball would have probably gone out of play, then you can make your substitution. The idea of it just as a corner, you then making a change of your centre-back. I'm not saying it's Gurma's fault for the goal. Not in any way. I want to make that stupidly clear. It was not Naomi Gurma's fault for the goal, the Paredes' goal. What was fault was Sonia Bampasta deciding to make a change of centre-back before the corner was played.
Well, I don't
it
know how
everything.
I mean, I'm not arguing with you about that. I just don't know what the injury was, how, like, you know, it's hard to sit here and say, like, oh, she totally could have kept playing. I don't know. What I can say is that to put Naomi Gurma in that moment in a Champions League semifinal, are you freaking kidding me? That is insane. And good for Naomi Gurma for standing up to that moment, because that is a crazy first time. That goal, and let's just talk about it. That goal was Lucy Bronze getting beat on the far post. And there was another goal that was Lucy Bronze getting beat on the far post. 2 out of these 4 goals were Lucy Bronze, and she was not goal side of her defender, and she was simply beat on the far post, and that led to a goal by Barcelona. And I'm not blaming Lucy Bronze for this, but if you do come out and start blaming the referees for your loss, people are going to start examining your performance, and that's exactly what's happening. People are examining her performance.
I do agree that there were certain fouls that should have been given that weren't against Barcelona. Like there's the one that's doing the rounds is the Mapillon against Ramirez, where she's not even looking at the ball. Let's be honest, she's looking at Ramirez.
Oh, I remember that clearly. Mapillon did not even try to fake playing the ball. She just fully body checked Myra Ramirez.
Yeah, it was a cynical foul. Should have been booked. Should have been a free kick. Blah, 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 blah. It should have been. But that did not result in the 2 goals that you conceded, Lucy Bronze, by being the wrong side of your person you're marking.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Lucy Bronze's fault. I mean, the first goal, I think it was Millie Bright and Baltimore got split. Like, Chelsea's defense was just being picked apart. And, you know, that's what Barcelona does. They play well in tight spaces. They move you around and they pick you apart. And Chelsea really did not have an answer for it.
Because if it hadn't been for Hannah Hampton, you're looking at a 6-1. A 7-1.
She was massive.
Yeah, so you need to thank your lucky stars that you had Hannah Hampton that even gave you a hint of a hope.
They were missing LJ.
Because LJ can do what the other Barcelona players were doing. She can split your defence. She can pull players out and then give the ball to Aggie Beaver-Jones to score, or give it to Ramirez, or give it to Baltimore, or whoever's playing. And there was no LJ, and they didn't have that player that could split the Barcelona defence apart. Yeah, look, it's not impossible for Chelsea to come back, but it's not very likely because they've got to score 4 and keep Barcelona from scoring any.
It would be wild. They came back from a 2-0 deficit to City, and they were coming home down 2-0, and they obviously won that 3-2 on aggregate to make it into the semifinals. So they've been in this position before, but not down by 3 goals and not down to Barcelona.
I was going to say, Man City are not Barcelona.
Yeah, that's the big difference. Although I will say, obviously Barcelona's defense is strong, but they're not unbeatable. The unbeatable part of Barcelona is the fact that other teams just can't simply get enough time on the ball to try to pick their defense apart. Once you get enough time on the ball, their defense can be picked apart. No question. All right, I guess we will find out this weekend. Both games will happen on Sunday. The first game will be Chelsea hosting Barcelona, and the second game, which kicks off 3 hours later, will be Lyon hosting Arsenal. And a reminder, Allie's predictions are a repeat of last year's final, Barcelona and Lyon, and mine is Chelsea-Lyon. Not looking great for me on one of those ends. The last piece I'll add is that you were texting me during the Barcelona-Chelsea game, and you were like, why are you rooting for Chelsea?
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring this up, but you brought this up, so I'm going to bring it up now.
Listen, I'm open. I'm an open book. I have no secrets here.
I wasn't going to. I wasn't going to shame you, but I'm going to shame you because...
You shame me. Go ahead.
It's more of a question than anything, because I can kind of tell that you're not really a European football fan because my dad is the same. My dad doesn't follow football at all, whereas me and my mum are mad football fans. And
are you literally, you said my dad is the same as you, he doesn't follow football at all? What, Allie?
Let me finish my point. My point. In terms of, he said to me, do you not want an Arsenal-Chelsea final? And me and my mum looked at him like he'd grown a second head, because we were like, no, we're West Ham fans. We don't want Chelsea to win anything. And you, as a self-proclaimed Arsenal fan, should be the same. You should be, on paper, not wanting your rival, which is Chelsea, to win anything. That is how rivalries work, my love.
I will say 3 things here. The first is that, yeah, we did not grow up watching European football like you did. So I only started watching European football probably 10 years ago, but I didn't like grow up with it, right? I wasn't like watching it when I was 10 years old. I feel like that's still a good amount of time that I've been watching it, for the
but
record.
I'm just saying I could just tell the rival wasn't. Yeah.
Second, so maybe that is a part of it. Second of all, I feel like in the category of European football, if my team can't be in it, or not even in the category of European football, in the category of sports, period, if my team can't be in it, I want the best possible game that I can watch on TV. I just want what I will find to be a really exciting game. That's my second best option always. Whatever the sport, I just want a good game if my team can't be in it. So if you're telling me that Arsenal can't be in it, which is what I was feeling when Lyon beat Arsenal and the Chelsea-Barcelona game was about to kick off, I was like, okay, well, if it can't be Arsenal, what do I want? And what I want is not a repeat of last year's final. People are so bored with the Lyon-Barcelona matchup, with, by the way, is hilarious because we were totally flipped last year, Allie. You wanted nothing to do with a Lyon-Barcelona matchup. And I was like, this is so much fun. It's the dynasties. I love the rematch. And you were like, this is stupid. I don't even want to watch it. And now we're totally flipped. It has nothing to do with like where the team comes from. Are they English? Are they Swedish? Are they whatever? I just want a different game in the final.
Okay, I would love, and please do it respectfully, people, because I always get hit with my anti-Chelsea bias, and yes, I am anti-Chelsea. I stand by that. I am West Ham. I don't want Spurs, Chelsea or Millwall to win anything. But I would love you guys to hit us up on socials and say, are you Team Sarah in terms of you like the best football possible regardless if my team can't do it, or if you're like me, rivalries run deep and therefore you don't want your rivals to win anything?
Okay, I will say I do think there's a little bit of both things in here because I'm thinking about the teams that I grew up watching that are like deep in my heart. And for example, baseball. I grew up a San Francisco Giants fan, and let me tell you, if the Giants can't win, all I want is the Dodgers to lose. I don't even care. I just want the Dodgers to lose. I don't want them in the World Series. I don't want them on my TV. I don't want them in my face. I want them out of the way. So I do think there is something to do with, I didn't grow up with Arsenal allegiance running deep like that. I did not. I came to it later in life. And if I'd grown up with it like that, I probably would be sitting here like anybody but Chelsea. But I didn't. And so this is how I am. So I get it. I get your passion. I get the rivalry thing because there are certain teams in my life that I'm just like, I cannot have them winning. They must lose, period, the end. So I get it. And finally, let's talk WSL because it wasn't just Chelsea and Arsenal playing this weekend. WSL was happening and there were some big results, including, I guess we'll start here, Allie. To make you happy, West Ham drew with United. This table is pretty much all but set as well.
It is pretty much, but it did. It was great. I actually drove down with the aforementioned Man United fan that I almost killed with the Chelsea game on the way back, and my mum just messaged me. Well, at least you'll get a lift home because. But both Manchester teams drew. A slightly more shocking result was Man City drew with Everton.
A crash out of all crash outs. Like, it just keeps going for City. It's crazy.
It does. And unfortunately for Man City now, it means that Champions League is in Man United's hands, not theirs. Man United need to win the derby or draw all 3 games, and they will get guaranteed third place Champions League. Other results may mean they can push on to second. Man City have to beat Man United in the derby and then hope that Man United lose all their games and they need to win their games.
Wouldn't that be insane if City overtook United in this final part? I don't see it happening. That's like the one part of the table that's up for grabs, though, is that third Champions League spot. Arsenal sit 2 points above United, who then sit 7 points above City. West Ham, though, sitting locked at 20 points with Everton. This is the best season I've seen West Ham have in the WSL, period. Like, full stop. Full stop.
Yeah, we are on course to get our league total, which like best total, which is amazing. And we're kicking on, and it did make me laugh because if you watched the Mark Skinner interview afterwards, it was like, West Ham didn't come to win, they just came to spoil our fun. And I was like, no.
Gosh, people are such sort of losers sometimes. In other WSL results, Villa beat Spurs. I guess the question here is that surprising?
Well, it is and it isn't, because both teams, for anybody who's been watching, have been poor, okay? Spurs started off okay and have dropped. Villa never got out of the starting blocks. So they beat Spurs in quite a thrilling game. Watch the highlights if you haven't, because they went 2-0 up and then Spurs brought it to 2-2, and then in the dying moments of extra time, Villa got a third goal, made it 3-2, which has all but confirmed their safety now. Palace have got a very hard road of having to beat everybody they're playing, and they've got to play Chelsea. But have all but done their thing. But Spurs go from bad to worse. They're dropped down. They're in the lower half of the table. They won't get relegated, but it's not good. And also, it seems that players seem to have gone a-wandering. Rasso seems to not be there anymore.
She's just hasn't been on it for the past, I think, 2 weeks it is. Where she's ending up, I don't know, but Hayley Rasso is just kind of like left. I don't blame her. I mean, we're not going to beat a dead horse because we've talked about Tottenham so much and what a colossal disappointment this organization is, because they have the ability to invest, and they had the ability when they were kind of mid-table, almost top mid-table, to inject money into this team and become a team that competes with the top four, and they just chose not to. So, I mean, yeah, them and Villa, man.
Yeah, Tim did message me and he was like, messaged our chat and was like, have West Ham become the team that we thought Villa were going to be 2 years ago? And I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I will be intrigued to see what happens with Villa, because they've got a lot of big names, and if they barely scrape safety, which it looks like they will, whether they'll keep hold of teams or if certain players will want to go to pastures new to actually win some stuff.
Yeah, definitely. All right, this final topic I'm very interested in, Allie, because I have not heard tale of it, but apparently you have. It doesn't seem like this could be actually realistic, but a fun topic for us to discuss. You'll tell me what this is and tell me how real it is.
So it's real in the fact that it's being proposed to clubs. It's in the same way that no relegation and B teams playing in lower leagues was proposed to clubs, in the fact that it's in the first working through stages, or as I like to call it, in the latest of the WPLL, let's throw something at the wall and see what sticks. Their latest idea is that the WSL will have playoffs to determine who the true winner is, a la NWSL.
I can't think of anything that would get more English people collectively mad all at once.
Exactly.
Than that.
My notes on this was, yay or nay, take a wild guess at what side Allie's on.
I don't think I could meet an English person in my life that would think this was a good idea.
No one likes playoffs.
I think this might be the one thing all English football fans agree on.
No one likes playoffs.
Genuinely. This would be one of the more wild things to happen in the world of football if this actually went down.
The only thing that would make me slightly like it is, it depends on how many they have. If they do it like it's currently done in the Scottish League, which is top half, bottom half, like they split off and do it that way. Because I would love it if, like, say Brighton stay where they are, they're currently 6th, I believe, and get into a playoff place and have an absolute belter and knock Chelsea out in the first round of playoffs. That would be interesting.
You're basically saying I would like it if somebody knocked Chelsea
or
out
Arsenal,
in the playoffs.
Or Man City. Somebody could, so we could have a new winner, because we've not had a new winner of the league since Liverpool in 2014 was the last time they won it. It's been Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. That's it. So that's the only possible reason, because I liked it, because was it Gotham who just about got into the playoffs their year and then won? But as a whole premise, no. No to your playoffs.
This will never happen in England unless they want pitchforks and riots.
I just say you can tell because Nuko's president is Canadian, and I could tell when she came with this idea. I was like, oh, you're from North America.
That's so funny to me. I guess the Canadian League has kicked off, everybody. If you would like to watch it, Northern Super League is streaming.
Is it? Where?
I don't know where to tell you to watch it. I can tell people in the United States. I can tell people in Canada. It's streamed on TSN, CBC, and CBC Gem. I can tell people in the United States that it's getting streamed on ESPN Plus. So if you own ESPN Plus, which at this point you probably do if you're watching soccer, then you can stream the Northern Super League. Anywhere else? I cannot help. I'm so sorry.
Speaking of streaming, very quickly, if you want to catch up on the NWSL, NWSL Plus are geo unlocked, so you can watch, unless they're in a game that's being streamed by a provider in the States, you can watch the NWSL Plus. It's a bit like over here in with YouTube versus BBC and Sky, but that is where I've been watching the NWSL, is NWSL Plus, so you can catch up.
Full match replays if you want to catch up. And hey, let's give it all. If you want to watch some European football as well, DAZN has got it all. DAZN's great. The only gripe I've had with DAZN is free, by the way. You do have to sign up with your email address, but it's totally free. Sometimes they stream it on their YouTube channel, DAZN Women's Football. Sometimes it's on their app. Sometimes it's on both. So if you don't see it on one, just check the other. They have a Roku app. So if you have a Roku TV, you can download the DAZN Roku app, because you will need to, because their site, this is my one gripe with them, has prevented casting. So if you have the game up on your phone, you can't cast it to your TV, and same with your computer, can't cast it to your TV. So if you have the Roku get the DAZN app. Otherwise, HDMI it, baby. Get it up on your computer and go old school HDMI to your TV.
To add all of the different things that we're not being sponsored by, you can also do it on Amazon. If you've got an Amazon Fire Stick, they have an app that I use. I know this.
I wonder how many people we just lost in the technology of it. I feel like the moment I said HDMI it, I was like, oh, I've gone too far. I've gone too deep. But this is how you know we are true women's football fans, because we have gone to the depths of the internet. Yeah. I have set up a stool next to my TV and hooked up my computer to the HDMI on the TV so I could get my illegal stream from my computer onto my television. We've done it all, baby.
So if you have a Fire Stick, there is an app on the Fire Stick and you can do that as well.
It's DAZN in all of the madness. We did not say that.
No, but they do have some great coverage of the women's game. I will say they are probably one of my favorite.
Yeah, they stream La Liga as well. If you want to watch a Spanish league, it's not just Champions League. They stream a lot of European football as well.
Yeah, so we're giving you all of the ways to watch.
All right, I will get my WSL picks in for not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. And we will see how predictable the WSL is compared to the NWSL for the two of us. And that's it for this week. As always, head to our Patreon. Check out our extra content that we upload there. And for the Women's Soccer Show, I've been Sarah.
I've been Allie.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.